Alrighty, hello and welcome everybody to the Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 19. And this round we are at Zolder. We've just kicked off underway for the qualifying session. It's a 5-minute quali. I'm not exactly sure what the format is. I'll tell you what, it seems like a week-to-week basis that the F1 runs late, and then I can't get the format, but I'll check it now, so we can run right over it. But already Stephen Race absolutely flying away on a qualifying lap. Nathan Monks once again on the grid tonight. Maddie as well out on the track. Wait, no, is she? Yeah, Maddie as well on the track tonight. And so it is going to be a competitive race as per usual. I do expect the Mustang to be the stronger car here in Zolder. So tonight's format is Super Sprint. So once again, we are back to what I think is the best format that Fargone has. And it is definitely going to be a little bit interesting tonight. There are some server issues plaguing tonight. We're actually having to run off like the server IP and using like the LAN server function to get everything working. But we did get there in the end, and we did get into the server. Everybody that could get in is in. And Steve-O is about to finish a lap here in Zolder, and he's absolutely flying along. What does he have for his first qualifying lap? It is going to be a 28.9, but it's not a valid 28.9, as we'll now look to Nathan Monks. He's in the pit lane. Maddie is flying around the circuit, but she also did an invalid first lap with 20, and a 28.5 is your first lap in this qualifying session, set by Hugs, and then Hoggy as well in P2 with a 4/10 deficit, nearly 5/10 deficit to Hugs behind that. As Maddie absolutely flying along in the Zoomies Mustang at the moment. She truly has the Zoomies in the cockpit. I can absolutely guarantee it. As Swooper goes 3.5 seconds behind provisional pole. Speed Racer slots himself into P3. Force currently 8 seconds off the pole time. It's clearly not representative at all, as MJ moves into P4, and a couple of times just starting to sweep into the leaderboard at the moment. But Maddie absolutely flying around Zolder at the moment. Currently she is sitting quite far up on her invalid lap time, and she's absolutely flying along as she has one more small straight to go, and then she'll be free to open it up towards the line. Currently a second up on her lap that she did that was invalid, and now rounding the final corner towards the line. Now Stephen Reese does a 28.2. What can Maddie respond with? A 28.5, but once again not a valid lap, and that is not what you'd want at all in the cockpit of that Ford Mustang. Now all the pressure's on for a final lap. Nathan Monks decided not to go out in this qualifying session. He is not pushing around Zolder. I think he might try a first challenge or take advantage of the reverse grid. Who knows here with this strategy? We know the sort of triple race, 2 sets of tires only across 3 qualifying, 3 races. We know what the plan is usually for the likes of Steve and Maddie, as Steve actually pulls off to the side of the road. Lee Perkins currently a 10th up, heading through the chicane, but we'll go back to Maddie as she is 1.1 seconds up, and she is close to Steve-O's time. I'll tell you what, I won't tell you the gaps between, I'll keep you on the edge of your seat, but it is close. But she has to keep the lap time valid. That is a crucial part in qualifying, and right now she's failed to do so. And that's the same with a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers also just deciding to stay in the pit lane as well. But currently Nathan Monks, Ninja, Lee, Maddie and Dave Ross have not set lap times, and they will continue not to set lap times except for the 2 out on the track, Dave Ross and Maddie, rounding the final chicane now in the Ford Mustang. Can she match the championship rival and race rival she's had since what feels like the dawning of time, Stephen Reese? She crosses the line, 600th behind. Hugs though, P2 in the McLaren. What a lap from car 95. 200ths behind Steve-O in a silver class car, where he's absolutely not usually close. And that is an absolutely mega qualifying lap from Hugs to get P2. An absolutely mega performance, but Steve-O at 28.265 pole lap with Hugs 200th behind and Maddie 600th behind. So that top three is as close as about you could get it with the sort of lap time. And Ida Nix 6 and a bit tenths, nearly 7 tenths off of pole position. Hoggy 2.5 tenths exactly behind Stephen Reese. Then you have Racer, Demon Boost, MJ, Perkins, Tobasiah, Swooper, Ross, Force, Monks, Ninja, and Lee rounding out your field. What an absolutely mental qualifying. 5 minutes qualifying always creates a little bit of pressure between all the drivers up and down. And yeah, that is absolutely fantastic from Hugs. I hope he can keep that pace into the race, and that is not just a one-off performance from him. And if he does keep it up, that would be a silver badge taken off him pretty quickly, I'm sure. But yeah, absolutely cracking stuff from the lad. So 3 18-minute races tonight, and 2 sets of tyres to work with as well. This is going to be an absolute cracker, but I'll be back in a moment as I need to go grab water as I just finished up the F1 and then had to start this, so I haven't had a little break in between. I'll be back in a sec. As right as I sit in my chair, the formation sector is about to get underway here in Fargone Racing. So, Steve-O alongside Hugs, that's a new one on the front row for race 1 of 3. Maddie and Hoggy occupy the second row as here in Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 19 here in Zolder. The green flags ready to fly, the green lights ready to illuminate as they head towards the line, and we are underway for racing action. Reese gets off to a good start, but Hugs is already making a move the long way round, but the corner will come back to Steve-O, and it does come back to Steve-O as they make their way through turn 1. He gives Hugs the squeeze. Hugs though back alongside, and he has the inside for the next right-hander. He's putting the pressure on the championship leader at the moment, but he's still struggling to get alongside as they head through the long right-hander now. Steve-O just about able to hang on to the lead as Maddie and Hoggy go side by side. There's a little bit of wheel rubbing there between the two. Hoggy managing to get the place, and now Eden Nick thinks about putting the pressure on as well. That is Tobasiah off the track in the background in the yellow BMW as they now go single file, but Hugs tried to put the nose in. That's Hoggy as well, making a critical mistake, and now he's side by side with Eden Nick as Maddie gets through, and now over the crest they go, and that is Eden Nick moving up past Hoggy. And Maddie also moving up past Hoggy after a critical mistake from the Ferrari. Hugs nearly made contact with Stephen Reese, and he is really putting the pressure on. He knows that qualifying lap was good, but now he needs the race trim to back it up as well. And now what he wants to do, I'm sure, is just try and get the lead and then hold on to it. We know that he excels in these triple race formats. Normally, Hugs wins race 2 or race 3 with the reverse grid. He takes advantage, but now he's going up the inside of Stephen Reese. That takes some guts there in the McLaren, and he's really hounding the back. He sees an opportunity to do it without a reverse grid, and he's trying to take it at all means necessary as we finish the first lap here in Zolder. And still, he tries to put the pressure on Maddie in P3 at the moment. Absolutely flying along in that Ford Mustang as Hugs makes a bit of a mistake, and that allows Steve-O to get a little bit of a gap, and this is now where Hugs is going to learn the harsh reality of trying to stick behind Stephen Reese. It's not an easy task. It's nowhere near as easy as you'd think. Such a talent behind the wheel of car number 6, and he uses it to the best of his ability all the time, and that is what you're seeing right now. And Maddie will have to get a move on sooner rather than later as they head towards the chicane. The Ford not able to get down the inside, but she doesn't need to rush it too badly. Going up the inside of that chicane is basically destined to lose the front end of your car if this is not ACC, but at the end of the day, any car can jump those curbs on ACC as Maddie absolutely takes out the cone, and she's just continuing to abuse the track limits, as will every driver on the track at the moment. But Steve-O has nearly got that elusive 1 second gap as Hoggy is trying to look up the inside of Nick. The Ferrari hounding the back of the BMW as they head through the hairpin now, and now the mini straight towards the final chicane. Such a quick lap here at Zolder. It's just corner after corner after corner. You only have 2 little mini straights, and the rest of it is all braking and turning and throttle control as they round the final chicane and make their way to finish the second lap. And it's been absolutely cracking stuff so far, and there's 2 more races after this one, and there's still a long way to go in this one as Hoggy really trying to put the pressure on, but the Ferrari always not the best at overtaking, and trying to get past a BMW the size of a double-decker bus is never going to work as he heads through the long right-hander. He's just got to find an opportunity to slip up the inside, and just a big snap there for Hoggy on the apex. The Ferrari absolutely chews its tyres and into the braking zone, just not close enough to go for any sort of move. Oh no, Hugs has made a mistake. Oh, that's also Hoggy nearly flying up into the air as well with all the curb usage. But Hugs made a massive mistake. He was off on the exit of the chicane, but he's managed to regroup without any major contact with any sort of walls and stay close to Steve-O, and this is a lot closer than I thought he'd stay. I was wondering if the quali lap was a one and done, but no, he has the fastest lap of the race. He's absolutely flying. That McLaren is definitely going to be in contention for 3 of the races tonight. But one thing, you have to beg the question, with an inexperienced front pack runner like Hugs, trying to get through that pack. Normally he's the one that starts with the reverse grid near the front, makes his way through a couple of cars, and then leads away before Steve-O can get to him. Will Hugs be able to handle the pressure of trying to overtake a lot of cars in race 2 and race 3 of the reverse grid? That is going to be a great question that we'll find the answer to soon. But he's looking absolutely fantastic at the moment. He's still struggling to cling to the back of Steve-O, but so does everybody in Fargone Racing. And that is exactly why he's so good. But Maddie now has the fastest lap of the race with a 28.352. But all of those 3 leaders very tightly grouped together in the lap time department. Only a 10th separating each driver from one another. And Maddie just really needs to get the moves on. I think that if she gets past Hugs, given at the moment with the way he's driving, no easy feat, but if she does get it done, she should be able to use that Ford Mustang to close right up to the back of Steve-O and try and get the move done. But it's not as simple as, say, a truck like Paul Ricard, where it's use the Mustang's power, one and done. You still need to be able to attack the corners, which the Mustang doesn't normally excel in, but it does here, as it's big curb usage around this circuit, as car number 7 is slow. That's force flow in the Ferrari, but we won't grab the replay. These top 3 drivers inseparable at the moment. It's like they're locked at the hip. Same with Hoggy and Nick as they still scrap away, as MJ, Boost, and Nathan Monk's also making his way up through the field. And that is car 81 already into P10 after not doing a qualifying lap. He started right up the back and now he's into P10. I think either he'll stay there, take advantage of the reverse grid, or he'll start to make his way through and just try and catch the leaders. Maybe he's just having a bit of fun with it. That is the way that some drivers typically take it. And Nathan Monks is absolutely rapid, as we've seen. He hasn't quite been able to keep up with Steve-O yet in Fargone Racing, but he's definitely gave it a good crack and now I think he's very comfortable with this circuit, so it will create a very interesting dynamic when we head further and further into the end of this race and race 2 and race 3. We'll see where everybody really stacks up, but Steve-O has now broken that elusive 1 second gap, and now Hugs will be pushing to try and close it, but Maddie, I think, would be trying to hound the back and get past Hugs. And if I'm in the cockpit of Hugs' McLaren, I'm going to let Maddie go and try and follow her. I know that Maddie is just as quick as Steve-O on her day, and she's absolutely flying. It's the Ford Mustang at Zolder, of all things, so definitely it is going to be an interesting one for Hugs to see if he defends like a lion or if he just tries to learn from Maddie as she tries to chase down Steve-O. But the more he waits, the more Steve-O pulls away. That gap now 1.5 seconds through the last sector split. That is not what Maddie will be wanting at all, as actually she has a snap off of the right-hander and maybe getting a little bit impatient in the cockpit of that Ford Mustang. A lot of close gaps around this circuit. The midfield also looking pretty close to one another, as we'll actually drop back down to Nathan Monks as he tries to pressure Demon Boost in the midfield, as we'll go on board with the Ford Mustang for a lap of Zola, and already just pushing and trying to hound the back of the Ferrari as they make their way down towards turn number 1, but Nathan is not going to be close enough. It's very risky to go for a move at turn number 1. I don't know. Oh, that's a mistake from the Ferrari, and now Nathan is going to swoop the long way round and get past the Ferrari. But I was about to say, I don't know if any of you have watched the 23 hours charity race of Zolder that Jimmy Broadbent hosts every year with Mind, and all of the big content creators race in it, as well as a bunch of drivers from the community. But yeah, every time it seems like a car tries to go down the inside of turn 1 in that event, they end up crashing and burning in a fire inferno on iRacing, but it's just as risky on ACC as Nathan moved past the Ferrari, and now he's all over the back of the Aston Martin of MJ, and he's trying to make quick work of the field as there's now under 10 minutes to go. Already 5 laps have passed. This is the 6th lap of the race, and car number 6 is leading the way, and 6 minutes. Actually, a lot more than 6 minutes have passed in this race. I was trying to do the 666, but it isn't going to work, sadly. But speaking of 666, Demon Boost was a car that made the mistake at the beginning of lap 6. There we go, I hooked it up eventually. But 9 minutes now remaining in this race as they head onto lap number 7. Nathan has got to make quick work. We are halfway into the race. He's already made his way from about P14 to 16 up towards P number 9 with a reverse grid. Even if he doesn't get past, it should put him in a good place for the next race, but still he'll want to get good results in all 3 as MJ goes wide. Nathan hunts the outside now, and he's trying it the long way round on the Aston Martin. Now he gets the cut back on the exit, gets a nose alongside through the long right-hander, and now he's going to try go down the inside. Surely not at the fast right-hander. He decides to back out of it, and now he gets the run towards the chicane. Will the Mustang try and make a move down the inside as he's hunting? And he does, all the way over the marbles and down the inside of the chicane, over the top of the curb as much as you'd like in the Ford Mustang, and he sweeps through past MJ. Next car up the road is Lee Perkins, and he is a healthy distance in front. I'll tell you what, the gap is about 3 or 4 seconds between Nathan Monks and Lee Perkins at the moment. I don't know if he's going to be able to close that one in the next 8 minutes, but I'm delighted if he'd prove me wrong. Nathan, a very fast driver, week in, week out, and now he's going to try and use that pace to his advantage. But as they head through the sector split, that gap went from 4 seconds to 2.7. So maybe he will be able to close that gap quite comfortably, more comfortably than I thought. But Lee Perkins looking good as ever out on the track in the sensational BMW. Yeah, absolutely fantastic car. And you'll see a pretty similar livery in the Bilco Park Bathurst 1000 in AK Racing, as that's a big mistake from Lee Perkins. But yeah, Zach O'Reilly and I'm not sure if it's supposed to happen this weekend, but might get pushed back due to unfortunate weather circumstances in Queensland. So best of luck to everybody who's over there. Stay safe. But yeah, the race might be delayed for that reason, which is more than fair enough. But the plan is that Zach O'Reilly and I in the effectively the commentary team car are going to be representing a livery very, very similar to this made by Steve-O on our V8 supercar. So you'll probably hear me mention that a good more couple times. But Nathan, after making an absolutely fantastic move on the inside of the Aston Martin, is already closing up towards the back of Lee Perkins. The gap about 1.5 seconds at this moment as they head through the right-hander, and 6.5 minutes under to go at the moment. And Nathan surely will make quick work of the BMW. It looks like he kind of doesn't know where he's going at Zolder. He's all over the inside curbs and brakes a bit early and then gets on the throttle a bit too early. So Lee Perkins maybe not having the best round, maybe not a lot of practice for the BMW this round for Zolder. As Tash saying, we finally get to see Lindsay race. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, tomorrow I'm working, to be fair, but Wednesday Cup, watch it. Tomorrow night I might be able to race, but it's a big maybe. I do think that work will run too late, but I do race in the AK Racing Wednesday Cup that is also streamed and broadcasted by Sensational TV with Zach O'Reilly and Christopher Munro in the comms box. So if you watch that, you'll see me race. And I'll tell you what, I haven't been doing too badly in the minimal races that I have been able to do. I think I got a win in Australia, and then I got 3 podiums in the other race I did in Road America. So that wasn't too, I think it was it was a P4, a P3, and a P2, or a P4, a P2, and a P3, something like that in Road America. So I don't do too badly out on the track, but yeah, feel free to watch that. Wednesdays, as you'd imagine, being called the Wednesday Cup. But anyway, back to the Fargone Racing action, and Nathan has the fastest lap of this race. I did think he was driving quite fast to close up to Lee Perkins as much as he had, but he has got the fastest lap, so he's even faster than the leaders. He did a faster than the pole lap time this last time by. He did a 1 minute 27.780. Zach saying stop gloating and commentate. Mate, what do you think I'm doing? Yeah, but Nathan setting the fastest lap with a 27.780, so very, very quick in the Ford Mustang. And he is right up behind the BMW now as they continue to try and close up and get past. And Nathan surely will make a move soon enough, as look at the amount of track he uses. He kicks up gravel there every single lap. He knows how to handle that Ford Mustang. That is the sign of a driver that's just absolutely pushing the limits of his machinery. As there we go, there's a mistake from Lee Perkins, and Nathan Monks sees his opportunity and now gets alongside on the exit, and he's going to sweep the long way round, which becomes the inside for the next chicane, still side by side with Lee Perkins. And now they head through the right-hander. Oh, there's a little bit of contact. Lee Perkins spins around into the wall. He ran out of road on the outside of the track. Car 55 goes into the wall. That is not what he'd want at all, but Nathan Monks gets the move done and moves into P7 with Speed Racer now 4 seconds up the road from him with 3 minutes to go. I did say he wouldn't catch Lee Perkins, and then he caught him very quickly, but 3 seconds, 3 minutes to do it. Not sure if he's going to be able to pull that one off. But meanwhile, Hoggy and Eden Nick, that battle actually, it said it was close. It's pretty far extended to how it was before. Swooper and Toba Sire are pretty close together on track, but they're also... oh yeah, no, they aren't a lap apart. For some reason my timing tower was saying they were. But Swooper and Toba Sire are in a battle. The two BMWs in P11 and 12 are going to battle away for the P11 position. Oh, never mind. Toba Sire spins off into the grass, and he takes a trip into the bunda, and now will recover back onto the tarmac. So the BMW not proving nice to a lot of the drivers tonight. Firstly, Perkins, Toba Sire also on lap 1 had a bit of a moment, and now he also finds himself careering off into the grass as well, just about able to recover it, but not looking like the nicest car to drive around Zolder whatsoever. So something to keep in mind for race 2 and race 3 as well. Maybe the tyres get chewed up a little bit in the BMW. Meanwhile, Steve Reese, though, leading by 1.9 seconds over Biggie, but he is absolutely flying compared to his normal standard dish lugs. It's really great to see. It's a massive improvement how he normally does. Even if it's a one-off race is better than no one-off races at the end of the day. Currently sitting in P2 with no reverse grid help, no nothing, and there's still 2 more races for him to try and take another win in Fargone Racing, much like he did in Misano, and it'll be really something to watch if he has some good races. And right now, staying ahead of Matty, one of the quickest drivers in Fargone, and only being 2 seconds off Steve-O after nearly 18 minutes. Really impressive stuff from him in that purple McLaren, so really good to see him improving at the rate he has been. He's also just been improving slowly and steadily since the start of the season, but maybe Zolder a standout track for him, as yeah, really fantastic to see him pushing along the way he is tonight, as Force and Tobesire are now close together on the racetrack, as well as I think that we could be nearing the final lap of this race. I think Steve-O probably crossed the line about 4 seconds too early for it to be the last lap. We'll stay with the Ferrari though. He is about to lap Lee in the Aston Martin. But yeah, he's driven an absolutely phenomenal race so far. But yeah, as I said, I think he might have crossed the line about 4 seconds too early for it to be the final lap of the race. So he loves to do this. He loves to just get really close to the time of the last lap and then still cross the line anyway because he doesn't have the gap behind him. But Steve-O with 30 seconds to go. No, it's going to be a lot more than 4 seconds. Never mind. I calculated that completely wrong. But Steve-O now entering the final lap of this race as he rounds the final corner. He's going to cross the line now to begin the final lap of the race in race number 1 in Zolder. Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 19. He's been absolutely flying all season long, rarely contested, and now he's proving once again why he's the best out there and why he just wins time and time again. 2.5 seconds over Biggie and another 2 and a bit seconds to Matty as well. So he is driving absolutely phenomenally, and he is absolutely deserving of all of the wins he's gotten so far this season. What more can you say about Steve-O? Such a dominant driver, and we're getting so used to seeing it happen before our eyes. It's almost like a Sebastian Vettel in 2010 to 2013, or Lewis Hamilton from 2014, excluding 2016, all the way until 2020 sort of domination. You just never can count him out. He's pretty much always going to be close, if not on that top step. And right now, he is just absolutely flown away, as after negotiating lap traffic, it's now 3.4 to Biggie as he now makes the run towards the final chicane now. Stephen Rees take a bow. You now have a reverse grid to deal with in Zolder, which is going to be very interesting. We know that you've done it many times. Zolder's a tighter track, but for the first time tonight, Stephen Rees is going to cross the line, and he's going to be victorious in race 1 in Zolder. Biggie hugs though, take a bow. P2 on pure pace alone. Fantastic stuff. Matty rounds out the podium. Eden Nick gets P4 from Hoggy. Hoggy will be really angry that he made that mistake earlier on in the race. Speed Racer gets P6. Nathan Monks gets P7 all the way from close to the back of the grid. MJ gets P8. Demon Boost will come home in P9. Lee Perkins will get P number 10 as long as he negotiates the final chicane all nice and steadily. As now up towards the line, Lee Perkins gets P10. Swooper will come home now in P11, just in front of Lethal as they cross the line. Tobesire has had many trials and tribulations tonight with that BMW. He can't seem to keep it on the racetrack, but he crosses the line now on the racetrack and gets P13. Dave Ross will get P14. Ninja will get P15. And Lee gets P16. So that's race 1 in the books. And that has been an absolutely fantastic first race to prepare us for race number 2 and race number 3. Actually, sorry, not a reverse grid. I forgot what format it was. Smart one. For some reason, I thought it was reverse grid 3 races. No, it's the qualifying 1, qualifying 2, qualifying 3, race 1, race 2, race 3. Everything I've said to this point, ignore it. The race results are the race results, and then you don't have to worry. It's just a qualifying session again. I completely forgot how this format worked. Oh, what a moment. What a moment from the commentator. I'm supposed to know this stuff. Anyway, I'm great at my job, I promise. But anyway, that means we'll now have a 4-minute intermission before we head into qualifying number 2. So I will be back in a couple of moments' time for the second qualifying action. But for now, that was race 1. Enjoy.
Green light, go, go, go.
As we are back, ladies and gentlemen, once again for qualifying action. This time we are here for qualifying 2 here in Fargone Racing GT Challenge season number 19, as all the cars dispersing out of the pit lane. This time Nathan does come out of the pits, and this time he's the first one out of the gate, so maybe he didn't do the first qualifying intentionally to save tyres. Who knows? Okay, I've also remembered exactly how this format works now. So I've not had a small brain moment now. So they have 2 sets of tyres over 3 races. I said that at the start, but for some reason, I don't know why, but I thought it was reverse grid. But anyway, maybe Nathan was saving a set of tyres. Who knows, right? But, yeah, pretty much a lot of these drivers, this is where it'll get really interesting. You'll have a mixed strategy. You'll see some drivers that weren't so quick in the first race are going to be absolutely flying in the second race and second qualifying, or maybe you'll see Steve or Maddie drop off the pace, or the pole times get slower because they just don't simply have the tyres to go on, or they keep using the same set of tyres. And especially with what looks like there's BMW struggling, maybe a couple of those drivers will have to run quite interesting strategies to make it all work for them. But that's all the what ifs about this amazing format. But Nathan is now flying down towards turn 1 in the Ford Mustang. He got the fastest lap of the race in race 1, and now he's going to try and surely go for pole position in qualifying 2 as he's continuing to fly along around Zolder. His first lap won't be his quickest, I'm sure, as there'll be tyre pressures and whatnot to increase, but he's going to give it his absolute everything here as he's using all the racetrack available to him. And in the background is also Matty in the other Ford Mustang, and then Steve-O in the very background of the camera shot as well. So those 3 that are so fast, sitting close together on track in qualifying as well. What a camera shot that is with all 3 of them. But Nathan absolutely flying at the moment. But I don't have his livery, by the way, if you're wondering. He doesn't just run a carbon black livery. I just don't have his livery installed, and I cut it too close with the F1 to install the livery pack. But yeah, Nathan absolutely flying at the moment as he heads through the depths of the 3rd sector now. He's cleared 2 of the 3 sectors, and now 2 more corners to go in the lap, and he's home free to complete his first lap in this qualifying session. Then we'll jump back to Maddie in the other Ford Mustang as she completes her lap, and then watch her next lap, and then we'll watch Steve-O as here goes Nathan Monks towards the line now. What's it going to be for the Ford Mustang? It's going to be a 1 minute 28.4. What does Maddie have? A 1 minute 27.8. Where does Steve-O go across the line? It's going to be an invalid lap time for him. But now we'll go back to Maddie as she pushes around the second lap of this Zolder circuit. Already has provisional pole by 0.6 of a second. That is an absolutely monumental margin to the next cars, and Maddie at the moment is still up on her previous best lap time. Nathan is also up, but a 27.8 was Nathan's fastest lap in the race in race number 1, and now she's already matched that. Oh, she makes a massive mistake though. She'll back out, she pulls over. She doesn't have time to go again, so that's her qualifying well and sorted, as now Steve-O is pushing around the lap of Zolder, and he is absolutely flying. I'm surprised Maddie didn't just back out and go again and cool her tyres off, but maybe she thinks it isn't worth it from a tyre wear standpoint because of only having 2 sets of tyres. That is normally what these drivers do in this format, but Steve-O giving it absolutely everything. Nathan Monks also up on his previous best lap time on this run, and there's still 1 more qualifying lap from most of the drivers out on the track at the moment to go, as we'll also go back to Hoggy next lap. No, we'll go back to Biggie next lap as he laps around this circuit. But now, rounding the final chicane, Stephen Reese hasn't set a valid lap in qualifying just yet, but now he rounds the final corner up towards the line, and he's going to set P2 only just under 0.2 behind Maddie and just ahead of Nathan Monks, as we'll now go to the McLaren of Biggie as he pushes harder and harder in that McLaren, currently 0.3 up on his previous best lap time. That'd be enough to put him around that Eden Speed Racer region. I think he's on a used set of tyres considering the pace deficit he has this time around, but up towards the line now in the 95 McLaren, cutting it all the way close to the wall. P7 as his last effort in qualifying. Now, Nathan Monks is 0.5 up on his previous best lap time. That'd put him on. He's now 0.6 up. This will put him on to provisional pole position ahead of Matty. Oh no! But he makes a massive mistake, and now he's bleeding lap time. He'd given it absolutely everything he had, and he might have been able to put it on pole, but that tank slapper threw away 6 whole tenths of a second, and that also gives him a lot of tyre wear to boot with only 2 sets of tyres, so he will not be happy with himself. He can still find a bit of time, but nothing to get him close to Steve-O or Matty at this moment. Can Steve-O, though, can he get to Matty in this qualifying race? There is just under 2 tenths of improvement needed for him in that Ferrari to get pole position off of Matty here for race number 2. Can he do it as he rounds the final chicane now to finish his final lap in this qualifying session? Up towards the line now, Steve Reese. What's it going to be? He's going to slow down across the line, and he wasn't improving either, and he's not going to get provisional pole or pole whatsoever. Ida Nick is heading towards the line now in the BMW. Can he get ahead of Hoggy for race number 2? No, he can't. He pipped Speed Racer, but Matty is your pole sitter in race number 2 at 27.8. An absolute flyer. Reese and Monks clearly also, all those top 3 clearly on either a fresh set of tyres or a barely used set of tyres, and Hoggy in P4. Then you have Ida Nick in P5, then Racer, Hugs, Boost, MJ, Swooper, Force, Tobasire, Ross, Ninja, Lee, and Perkins. But I do think I remember what Steve-O's strategy was. I think that he uses the same, because we had this same format many times, but also particularly in Snetterton. So I think that Steve-O uses the same set of tyres for qualifying 1 and 2 and race number 3. So he has a pretty relatively fresh set of tyres for race number 3. And I think that Matty and Monks might be echoing that here in their cockpits. But now, all the questions will surely be answered in a couple of moments' time, as we have Matty on the front row alongside Steve Reese. Back to normality, I think you could say, with Hugs not on the front row this time, and Matty and Steve-O alongside each other, but Matty on the pole position slot this time around. Then you have Steve-O, Nathan Monks, and Hoggy are your second row. Then Ida Nick and Speed Race, but all eyes will be to these top 4 on the start, and then we'll watch the rest of the grid as the chaos unfolds as well. But Zolder, such a fantastic circuit. You can't give it anything. You can't say anything bad about it, at least in my opinion. Creates such good racing all the way from start to finish in pretty much any category. And the curves and the chicanes, they take so much commitment, so hard to drive the circuit. It creates absolutely cracking racing. And also, Zach O'Reilly, if you're still watching, you should include Zolder in the Wednesday Cup next season, because I'd absolutely love to see it. But yeah, Matty and Steve-O alongside each other on the front row. And then Nathan Monks and Hoggy P3 and 4. So it is going to be an action-packed race number 2. And I think that I know Steve-O's strategy, but other than that, I'm effectively clueless. But Steve-O should have fairly worn-in tyres at this point, but also only 18 minutes of racing. You won't have too much tyre wear, so I don't think we'll see too much discrepancy compared to race 1 in this one, except for the fact that Maddie's starting on pole. So with the Mustang's powertrain, she might be able to use it to her advantage to defend from Stephen Reese. But Nathan Monks up the grid this time, should be trying to pressure. We know he was on pace for pole position with a lot of the lap to go, but he made a mistake, so clearly he's pacey. And now it's going to be effectively a 3-way fight for the win as the formation sector begins. So, Matty and Steve-O side by side, Monks and Hoggy side by side as they line up 2 by 2 by 2 here as the green lights ready, the green flags ready to fly, the green lights ready to illuminate for the second time tonight in Zolder. And it's Matty alongside Steve-O, and the green flags are now waving, and we are underway for racing action. Steve-O gets off to a cracking start, but Matty has the inside as they head down towards turn 1. But Steve-O, the long way round, isn't getting squeezed, but he has a snap, and now he doesn't have the inside for the next one. Matty covers off, and Hoggy also getting down the inside of Nathan Monks, who's now going back the long way round. There's contact between Monks and Hoggy. Monks just turning in like Hoggy wasn't even really there, and that's sent him falling down the order as Matty and Steve-O slot back in single file. Hoggy holds on to P3. Nathan Monks has dropped all the way back behind Eda Nick, and now he'll be trying to hunt a move back down the inside of the BMWs. Meanwhile, Hoggy trying to make moves on Stephen Reese down towards the chicane as they continue to battle away, and up the hill over the crest they go, and then right back down. Surely Eda Nick is going to try and go for a move on Hoggy here. He does think about it. He did put the nose in, but he wasn't quite able to get alongside the car that he was battling last race of Hoggy. But already Maddie getting off to a cracking start, and she is just able to take advantage of Steve-O's mistake and cover the inside, and now she's in the lead of the race, and it's going to be all to play for between those two. Nathan Monks with amends to make here in this race, as that is Force and Tova Sire side by side through the hairpin. But now we'll go on board with Nathan Monks as he's right up behind the BMW, who makes a mistake at the final corner, runs very deep. The Ford Mustang gets a great run off of the final corner, but he gets a little bit caught up on the grass. Can he go down the inside of turn one? I don't think he's going to be close enough to Eda Nick to go down the inside this time around, but he's also under pressure from Speed Racer a little bit in the Aston Martin, as meanwhile Maddie has nearly gapped it a second to Stephen Reese. I'd happen to say that she is on fresh tyres for race 2, which I think is really fascinating strategy-wise, because she is absolutely checked out of this one, and Steve-O seems to have no responses. The gap already over a second, and Hoggy is also hounding the back of Steve-O. Not to say he couldn't do it, but we know that Steve-O just doesn't normally fall away that far from the car in front of him. So definitely a little bit of pace discrepancy, but meanwhile Nathan Monk's not sure what strategy he's on at the moment, but that little bit of contact on lap 1 probably gave his Ford Mustang a little bit of damage, and Hoggy also probably won't be happy. I think he probably just turned a little bit too much, or had a slide towards the apex of turn 2, which is why it looked like he just didn't act like Hoggy was there, but it ended up hurting him more than it hurt Hoggy at the end of the day. So all is fair in a world, all is fair in the world at the moment, as Nathan not close enough to the BMW this time around. Not a lot of other wheel-to-wheel moments or close moments on the track at the moment. It's just a bit of one big train, and this is the car definitely to keep an eye on at the moment. Nathan doing it absolutely everything he has, as Maddie has 1.3 seconds. Stephen Reese and Eda Nick sets the fastest lap of the race, hence why Nathan Monks wasn't able to get anywhere. Last lap he did a 29.0, that's 1.2 seconds off of his previous fastest lap in race number 1. I'm not sure how much the track conditions changed either. I know it's 31 degrees track at the moment, but that is about it in the grand scheme of things. But Monks really needs to get a shuffle on here. I think that P2 is definitely in his grasp. If he plays his cards right, I think he could get past Eda Nick, get past Hoggy, and even get past Stephen Reese at the moment with the way that Steve-O's going. Struggling to stay behind Maddie. Oh no, speaking of Maddie, Maddie's taken a trip and an excursion off into the wall while she's leading the race of all things. Let's get a replay right here, right now, through the fast right-hander. She was leading the race. She had over a second to Steve Reese, and it looked like she already had the race in the palm of her hand. Only a couple of minutes in, all she had to do was keep the car going in a straight line. What did she do? Did she take too much curb? She did take too much curb, and she careered off, and she did hit the wall, and that is not what you want to do while you're leading a race. Such an unfortunate incident, that is what Zolder can do to a car if you're not careful. That is what the curbs can do, and now she's in P9 and she will not be happy, and now she has amends to make in race number 3. But Steve-O is your race leader, but Hoggy is now seeing his opportunity. He sees a chance now to get the race win. He's only 2/10 behind Steve Reese and Monks and Eda Nick, and nearly a second back from that. Monks needs to get a shuffle on. If he gets past Eda Nick quickly, he's right back into this for the race win. So this is now a 4-way, but mainly 2-way fight for the race victory here in race 2. Anybody's guess as to who could win at the moment, but Steve-O doesn't look like he has the overwhelming pace at the moment in race 2. New set of tyres as well, not the best for him, as Hoggy taking all the curb, and that drops him a lot of time. As now Nathan Monks does see an opportunity to try go down the inside of Eda Nick as they head into the chicane, late on the brakes as he dares for Nathan Monks, and that's still not enough to get alongside Eda Nick at the chicane. Nathan really struggling to get any sort of overtake done at this current point in the race, but 12.5 minutes to go. There's still time. The countdown is still ticking down, and Hugs in the background as well in P6. Can't count him out either. He had a fantastic race 1. He still looks comfortable in that McLaren come race 2. Just didn't quite have the quali time to back it up. But as they head onto the 4th lap of this race, it's Steve-O from Hoggy, from Nick, from Monks, as they continue to battle away. But Steve-O definitely will be feeling the pressure as he has his fellow Ferrari man right underneath his rear wing. As Breno asking, did they have to use the same tyre for both races? So they have 2 sets of tyres over 3 races and 3 qualifyings. They can use whatever tyre whenever they want. As far as I'm aware, obviously it's not the same for every driver. There's very big strategy variation, but Steve-O uses the same tyres for race 1 and 2, and uses the same set of tyres for qualifying 1, 2, and race number 3. But I'm not sure how the rest of the drivers are doing it. But they have 2 sets of tyres to use over 3 18-minute races and 3 5-minute qualifyings. And meanwhile, Nathan Monks really putting the pressure on to Eden Nick now as they head over the crest. They're more than wheel to wheel. Hoggy was also close to Stephen Rees, and Monks once again as they head into the chicane, not quite able to get alongside and get the move done, but he was very close this time around. That was closer than he was last lap. He forced Eden Nick to hop the curb, probably more than he'd like, but this is also inviting the Aston Martin with Speed Racer right into this fight for the end of the podium places. This is for P3, and then there's 1.8 seconds. There we go. There's the mistake Nathan Monks needed. Eden Nick finds his way onto the grass, and now the Aston Martin sees his chance as well. Speed Racer is going to get it done the long way round, and now Eden Nick is going to slot back in to the train with Hugs behind him. But now Nathan has to chase down Hoggy and Steve Rees. Speaking of Hoggy and Steve Rees, Hoggy is going to sail the long way round and take the race lead for the first time, I think, this season in Fargone Racing. And now he instantly makes a mistake with Steve-O putting the pressure back on. And now Steve-O trying to go the long way round. There's contact between Hoggy and Steve Rees as they head through the apex of turn 2. And Steve-O still trying to put the pressure on as they make their way through the lap. But it looks like Steve-O wasn't able to get it back just yet. And now Nathan Monks arrives on the scene as well. This is like a 5 or 6 car train for the race win at the moment and for the podium places. Look at that train, still as close as you can get, as that's a mistake from Hoggy. And now Steve-O sees his opportunity. He goes to the left hand side. He's going to sweep through, but Hoggy is going to defend this, and Nathan Monks now sees a chance to go down the inside as Steve-O not able to get it done on Hoggy. Hoggy makes another mistake in the mid corner and the train stays how it was, but that was a very close moment for Hoggy trying to defend the lead. As they still continue to battle now, as Tash makes a very good point. If they continue to battle this hard, this could invite Maddie right back into it, but I'm not sure how much damage she has on her Ford Mustang after a collision with the wall, but we know she has the raw pace over these 6 drivers overall, but she has got a 4-second gap to close. But with all this battling, you can't count it out, as Steve Rees is now still chasing the back of Hoggy, and Hoggy has a train of angry cars behind him as they head across the line now. What's the gap from Maddie to the rest of the train? The gap is 3.5 seconds. She's closing a lot on this 6-car train, and it doesn't look like it's showing any signs of slowing down up the front. No wheel to wheel at the moment between these drivers, but it's just inevitable when somebody makes a mistake that all hell is going to break loose, and Hoggy's just got to hope that he's not going to be the car to make a mistake once again, as Speed Racer currently holds the fast lap of this race with a 28.8. This is the pace deficit between race 1 and race 2. A lot of drivers using the same set of tyres for both races, but Hoggy really giving it his all. He has 7 tenths, nearly 8 tenths to Steve Rees at the moment over that P2 car, and Monks is now trying to hound the back of Steve Rees. But we know that Nathan has had a couple of problems trying to get overtaking manoeuvres done in this race. He wasn't really able to get past Eden Nick until he made a massive mistake on his own, and then he sailed past on the exit. So now basically, unless he's able to get alongside and down the inside of Steve Rees, he's just got to wait for a mistake. But we know that Steve doesn't make too many of those in a season, let alone in a race. But when all carnage breaks loose, it's all entirely possible, as Eden Nick is kind of falling off the back of this train. Same with Hugs They have lost a second to those top 4, but Maddie only 2.8 seconds behind Hugs in this train, so it is closing up. But across the line, Steve-O has lost a lot of time to Hoggy. That gap is now 1.2 seconds between himself and the P1 car, so he's going to need to close back up at some point soon. But right now, Hoggy looking calm and collected out the front of this train as the car 510 is going slow. That's Lee, as we've come to expect, going very slowly. This season's just not his season, I guess. He seems to have a moment every single race. But his time will come as Steve-O takes a trip into the gravel on the exit, as Monks will now see an opportunity to look down the inside, and he does go for that opportunity on at the chicane. Steve-O takes too much curb, and now Nathan, that's a great run as they head up the hill and then right back down it, and I think that Nathan has made the best of a mistake from Steve-O, and he gets through, and now next car is Hoggy, and Hoggy gets a drive through. Oh no, that's absolutely devastating for the leader. He has a drive-through penalty. He was looking so fast, and now he gets a track limits drive-through. That is not how you want your race to go whatsoever. He has 2.4 seconds over Nathan Monks. He was flying, but track limits bite hard at Zolder. As Maddie, oh no, Maddie has also gotten a drive-through. She was making such big inroads to that train in front. She was getting so close, and Maddie has a drive-through as well as Hoggy. Maddie doesn't come in this lap, but Hoggy and Maddie both have gotten drive-throughs in this race. We saw no drive-throughs in race number 1, and now we've seen 2 in quick succession. But now the battle for the win is between Nathan Monks, Stephen Reese, Speed Racer, Eda Nick, and Hugs here in race number 2. There's 5 minutes 40 to go, and Nathan Monk's leading the way by 0.6 of a second. He's flying along, but Steve-O, we know he doesn't give up, but trying to overtake a Ford Mustang is not easy. With the amount of power that that car puts out and the straight line speed it puts out, it's definitely going to be tricky. This could play into it though. That is a stricken Aston Martin going slowly. He should get out of the way. Normally he's alright at getting out of the way, and he does. He goes out to the gravel as Nathan is now just going to fly past. All of those cars are going to fly past, but hopefully, for the sake of everybody else in this top 5 fight, nobody gets a drive-through, at least who hasn't already. Maddie will probably have to come in this lap or the next one to serve this drive-through. I think she'll just probably do it this lap, but that's really disappointing. But there's still one more race in the night to go and one more qualifying in the night to go. But Nathan would love to take his first win in Fargone. He made his debut a couple of rounds ago, and he's hit the ground running. He's had good pace. He's shown potential, but he just hasn't been able to hook it up for a race win just yet. And this could be the perfect opportunity to kickstart celebrations and kickstart some momentum in this season for Nathan Monks, as that's a couple of cars slow. Car 27 and car 10, I think they've gotten into an incident with one another, as we'll get a replay now as they head through the chicane. It's Swooper and Ninja as they head through the right-hander, as Swooper just gets a little bit lost on the grass, and then toward the hairpin. Does he just go for it, or what does he do? Oh, he just drives into the back of him. Ninja's just gotten on the power a lot earlier than Swooper. Drove right into the back of him. That's pretty poor, and then he rejoins right into Hoggy as well, nearly. That could have been pretty devastating, but back to the live action. Nathan Monks, Steve Reese, and Speed Racer separated by just over a second from one another. Eda Nick is apparently a second back to Speed Racer, but I don't believe that for a second. I think it's more like 0.7 of a second at the moment. But Eda Nick also does have some pressure behind him from the McLaren of Hugs with 3.5 minutes to go here in Zolder. Steve-O getting very close to the back of Nathan Monks, but in every 100% throttle zone on the track, Nathan will pull away just a little bit, which makes Steve Reese's race just that little bit harder as he tries to get past for the race win. But there is about 2 laps to go in this race with about 1 minute 28, 1 minute 29 lap times. They cross the line. There's going to be 2 or 3 if they really push it. They'll cross the line with about 3 seconds to go, and they'll have an extra lap. So fuel-wise, you've got to hope that everybody has enough fuel for 3 more laps. I imagine they will. I imagine they take it pretty safe, as they know it's a possibility. But Nathan currently leading the way, but he will have some pressure behind him as we'll go over the rear wing of the Ford Mustang as he tries to cover off Steve Reese in a hounding Ferrari. But we know that Steve-O used the same set of tyres between race 1 and race 2. Surely at this point, those tyres will be screaming out for help. That's a lot of curb usage by Nathan, a lot of bouncing around. Steve-O did close up just a little bit through that last chicane, but nothing too significant in the braking zone though. He does make up quite a bit of lap time, but let's see if Nathan pulls it again on the exit. I think Steve-O gains a little bit through that sector, but as they just get back up the hill on the power, it's right in the Mustang's power band, and he just pulls that gap away. As meanwhile though, the Aston Martin of Racer is thinking about going down the inside of Steve-O for P2. I think this is the highest up I've seen him race all season, and even last season as well. So Racer really coming into his own with probably non-used tyres here in race number 2, and he's just absolutely giving it everything. Steve is a bit wide off the final chicane, maybe feeling the pressure of the 46 car, who does have the fastest lap of this race. As they cross the line, Monks is leading by a second, so this is the all-out battle for P2. Speed Racer really has an opportunity to do something special here tonight. He has the opportunity to put that Aston Martin on in second place for race number 2. And what a performance that would be. But also Nick and Hugs are lurking in the background waiting for any sort of mistake. I think that Nathan has the trophy in one hand, but he still has 1 or 2 more laps to close this race off, and then he'll be home free. So don't want to commentators curse him too much, but he is looking quick here around Zolder. Oh, Steve-O! Steve-O's made a massive mistake, and that's the same thing Matty did on lap number 2 or 3, and now Steve-O replicates it. Oh, and he's continuing to spin around. He's not able to get that Ferrari in a straight line, and that is race 2. Really done and dusted for Steve Reese. That is an unusual mistake from the championship leader, but he has made that mistake, and now he falls all the way down to P7. Still not a bad points haul, but he pretty much had P2 or 3 on lock, and now those P2 and 3 positions are really in question as Nick is getting quite close to the back of Speed Racer. But next lap will be the last lap of this race, as Nathan leading by a commanding distance, 1.4 seconds across the line to Speed Racer. As long as he just keeps the car going in a straight line, unlike Steve or Matty, he should be okay. Maybe it's the curse of the leading car here in race 2. It seems like everybody who gets the lead hits that second curb at the chicane and spears off into the wall. As Breno, I do believe that LFMBOP is used here, yes. Yeah, I do believe that is the case. As now Nathan heading through the chicane. As long as he survives this, I think he should be alright, and he does. Now he just has to cruise home and get the race victory. So, Nathan Monks, I think he started racing about 2 races ago. He was looking pretty strong in the Nordschleifer. He looked strong in the race before as well. I can't remember what track it was, if I'm entirely honest. But he was able to get fairly decent results, but no sort of victory. He got close on occasions, but he hadn't quite been able to pull it off just yet. But now, here in Belgium, in in Belgium, in Zolder. There we go, I got there eventually, that's what I was trying to say. He is going to reign victorious as long as he gets through this next chicane. Nathan Monks rounding the final corner in race number 2. Steve-O took race 1. Nathan now arrives on the scene in race 2, and for the first time in Fargone racing, takes the victory. And that is going to be a drive he will remember. With a lot of mistakes in front of him, he takes advantage and gets a P1. Fantastic stuff. Speed Racer as well, take a bow, getting P2 in the silver class car. He's not normally this far up, but he sure did take advantage when he was. Nick gets P3 as well, a good podium for the BMW. Hugs gets P4. Perkins in the sensational BMW gets P5. Demon Boost gets P6. Steve Reese, after a critical mistake when trying to chase for the win, gets P7. Lethal gets P8. MJ gets P9. Hoggy gets P10. Maddie, after a drive-through, gets P11. And also, she was leading the race and did the same thing Steve-O did Tobasaya gets P12. Swooper gets P13. Ninja gets P14. Ross gets 15th. And Lee rounding the final corner now to get P16. But what a race to that was from everybody involved. So it's Monks from Racer, from Nick from Hugs, from Perkins Boost, Reese, Force, MJ, Hoggy, Maddie, Tobasaya, Swooper, Ninja, Ross, and Lee rounds out your grid for race number 2. And now we'll have qualifying 3 after a brief intermission for qualifying 3 and race number 3. So I will be back in a couple of moments' time, and racing action will resume in a few minutes.
Green light, green light. Go, go, go. green light. Show them what you got.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, here for qualifying 3 and race number 3 in Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 19. Once again, Nathan first out of the gate, but this time he pulls over, goes back to the pit lane. So now we'll look to Steve Reese, who is the leading car in this train. So I happen to know that for this, hold on, wait, let me double check. So he uses the set that he was using for qualifying. I'm trying to remember what he uses. So the set of tires he's going to be on for race 3 is the set of tires he used for qualifying 1 and qualifying 2. And then I'm pretty sure he either uses the race set of tires from race 1 and 2 to qualify, or he uses the same set of tires he used for Q1 or Q2. I can't remember exactly, but it's something along those lines. Either way, he'll have a lot fresher tires than he did in race number 2, and that is definitely a good thing for his sake. But now Steve-O is about to begin a lap of Zolder, and he is going to be absolutely flying in the Ferrari 296 as he rounds the final corner to begin a flying lap of this circuit. Down towards turn 1, spot your braking point, get it across through the left-hander. Steve-O looking comfortable at the moment. That Ferrari doesn't complain too much around this circuit except for the chicane, as he found out. A little bit slidey there through the apex of turn 2, and then keep it pinned to the floor through the flat-out right-hander, and then get ready to dab the brakes when the concrete starts on the left-hand side, and then get it across. Don't go outside the track limits at that long right-hander, and then flat out before you get to the braking zone of the trickiest part of the circuit. You got to lose a lot of curb at the chicane, and once again Steve-O nearly getting caught a victim of it, as that'll be his lap time toasted as Nathan Monks is back out again. Maybe he just had to swap over tyre sets in Q3, but now he's pushing along through the fast right-hander, and then powers right out. We know in the race he uses a lot more track usually at that corner, but in qualifying I'm sure you have to be a little bit more careful than that as he pushes through the chicane. He doesn't do what Stephen Reese did, but also he's in a Ford Mustang, so it's a bit harder to do, but Matty did prove it's still possible as he heads through into the second of the 2 chicanes here, the second of the 3 chicanes here at Zolder. And then flat out just about through this right. It's pretty tricky, but it does hold it flat. You do feel a lot of understeer, but it does happen as Steve-O does a 29.5. Speed Racer currently holding provisional pole with a 29.0, but we know Steve-O made a massive mistake on his lap. We saw Matty do a 27.8, and the other pole position for Q1 was a 28.1 or 28.0, so I expect to see something along those lines from someone, if not close enough, as Nathan crosses the line in a moment's time. What's he going to do? An invalid lap time is what he's going to do, as we'll now look back to Steve Reese once again. This time we'll go cockpit cam on board with him as he takes a lot of the curb, but this time he doesn't lose the car, and that'll be a big improvement, a big gain for Steve Reese. He's already 6/10 up on his previous best lap time as he heads into the braking zone. Now get it through. You can use all the curb on at that chicane. It won't invalidate you as long as you're on those inside curbs, and then flat out through the right, and then in through the left, and then braking just after the 100, and before the Pirelli board, and then power out first gear, second gear, up the gears as the revs just climb and climb and climb, and your speed climbs, and getting ready to brake into the final chicane, braking just before the big board up above you, and then a short shift out of the final corner. A bit wobbly there for Steve-O. He'll probably still have more time to find in the 3rd lap of qualifying, but across the line now, 1 minute 28.5 was the lap time, but it must have been invalid because he doesn't move up the leaderboard. That could be crucial. Matty, currently sitting 3rd in this qualifying session, is on a flying lap, maybe using a set of used tyres so she might drop off a little bit compared to race 2 and qualifying 2. We'll see what she has, as she's currently 1.3 seconds up on her previous best lap time. Never mind, she's absolutely flying as Hoggy does a 28.6 to take provisional pole now, as Maddie is rounding through the middle sector. Stevo is a little bit further behind on the road, so we'll be able to cut back to him later, as Nathan Monk's also on a lap, as far as I'm aware, in the other Ford Mustang. No, he's in the pit lane. So once again, much like qualifying 1, he isn't able to get a lap time on the board, and he's still in the pit lane, as Maddie now into the final chicane. She's going to absolutely obliterate the current provisional pole time, if the delta I'm seeing is correct. So up towards the line now. What's it going to be for Maddie as she heads towards the line? It's going to be a 27.6, and Stevo wasn't able to improve. He must have invalidated at some point along the line, and now Eda Nick towards the line goes P4 in the BMW, and there's not too many more cars out on the track. Tobasaya pulls over. Hoggy's finished. Hugs, though, is 6/10 up as he heads into the final chicane. Can he start on the front row for the second time tonight as he rounds the final corner towards the line? What's it going to be for Hugs? It's going to be P2, 6/10 behind Maddie, but a 28.2 regardless. A fantastic lap. Maddie takes an even quicker pole position lap here in qualifying 3. She went from a 28-something to a 27.8 to a 27.660 for the final pole time of the night, and the quickest pole time of the night. Hugs goes P2 for the second time tonight, from Hoggy, from Eda Nick, from Racer, Perkins, Boost, MJ. Reese goes P9. That is crucial and very hurtful to his race. He's going to have to get a move on. Same with Nathan Monks down in P14. So you have fourth then in P10, Tobasar in 11th. Then you have Swooper, Ross, Monks, Ninja, and Lee is the last car in this qualifying session. What a quali it was. And yeah, once again, Maddie taking out pole position. Stevo really won't be happy with the fact that he wasn't able to get a lap time on, or a competitive lap time on the board. But it happens sometimes, and he'll just continue to push, get his head down, and make some overtakes. But Maddie takes out pole position in the Zoomies Mustang again. As once again, it's that time where we have a minute 45 countdown before the race start. As there, yep, that's what I was going to say. Captain invalid. You kept on setting fast lap times. I could see it on the, broadcasting software, but you just weren't able to get it valid. Yeah, Stevo, great stuff, mate. Maybe Maddie fired up for this one. Yeah, exactly right. It was an absolutely cracking pole lap. But also her mistake in race 2. She'll be desperate to get a race win. So Stevo, am I right about your strategy? Is it the same as Snedderton, where you did Q1, Q2 on the set of tyres you used for race 3? And then you used the same set for race 1 and race 2? Is that right? Stevo saying samesies about the mistake at the chicane. All Q on set 1. And then, what, race 1 and race 2 on set 2. And then you race 3 on set 1. Yeah, okay. So I thought so. I just wasn't sure about Q3. Yeah, so I just wasn't sure about the qualifying 3 tyres, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, so I did remember your strategy for the most part. Cool beans. But anyway, we have 7 seconds till the race start. Maddie looking for a redemption arc after a mistake in race number 2. A crucial one at that. Stevo made the exact same mistake when hunting for the race win, but he also invalidated all of his qualifying laps except for 1, and he sits in P9, so he has a lot of work to do in race 3. This is it then, the final race of the night. Race 3 of 3. The green light, the green flags ready to fly. The green lights ready to illuminate for the last time tonight in Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 19. and we are underway for racing action. Matty gets off to a good start, but Hug's already trying this the long way around like he did in race 1, but this time he's going to swoop through and get the lead. Matty, though, will now try have a run the long way around, I'm sure of it, but Hugs takes the position nice and tidy. Unlike race 1 where he just wasn't quite able to get it done on Steve-O, he does get it done on Matty, and now Matty will be a hounding attacker in that Ford Mustang with a point to prove after race number 2. Steve Reese already having a little bit of a moment here on lap number 1. He's behind Force, so I'm not sure exactly what has happened. No, he's sitting in P9. Never mind, the thing was lying. But as they head through the chicane, he hasn't made up any places. He's not been overly aggressive, but back up the front. Matty trying to hound the back of Hug. She isn't going to give this one up easily as she heads through this middle sector, the most technical part of the circuit. Hugs is feeling all loads of pressure, I'm sure, as Matty just tried to go down the inside of the chicane, and now with the what I assume is fresh tyres strapped to that Ford Mustang. Well, not fresh tyres, but freshish tyres strapped to that Ford Mustang. She's hounding, she's aggressing, and she's trying to make moves as Steve-O gets past Demon Boost for P8, and so he's slowly making up places off the start. He'll have to get through a little bit quicker than that if he wants to get to Matty up the front. So both of them will want to win desperately, but Matty is in a better position to do so. But Hugs still keeping a cool head at the moment. It was absolutely a fantastic start from him. It was very last season-esque with a McLaren alongside Matty in the Mustang and just absolutely flying away. The McLaren gets fantastic starts in ACC, and so it definitely plays to your advantage when you're trying to take the race lead. But Hugs just will look over his rear wing as he's weaving a little bit, just trying to get a bit more tyre temp into the car, into the tyres to try and defend from the aggressing Ford Mustang. There's all that side-by-side there in the background between Hoggy and Eda Nick. But this gap is very close. Will Matty make a late lunge down the inside? No, she won't. And Hoggy and Eda Nick aren't side-by-side either, but a lot going on at the moment. A lot of battles playing on at the moment, but the gap between Hoggy and Eda Nick has extended a little bit, just probably too close through the chicane and lost a bit of time. Matty, oh, she's nearly rear-ended Hugs there, but now she'll get the cutback. The good exit compared to the McLaren, but it's not good enough to make up for the poor entry while trying to dodge the McLaren, just getting a little bit too overzealous, trying to get past for P1. She wants to get a gap as fast as she can. Steve-O already into P6, has MJ, Eda Nick and Hoggy in front to try and get past, but also Hugs and Matty have already pulled 2 seconds to Hoggy, but you can see Steve-O in that train. He'll continue to aggress and make his way through this field, so it's crucial for Matty to get by Hugs as soon as she can, and then continue to push away, but easier said than done at the end of the day, which is what we're seeing right here, right now in this fight. So we'll look to Steve-O, as also Nathan Monks has already made his way into P11. We'll look to Steve-O now as he continues his charge up through the field. And we'll go cockpit cam with Steve-O. I was like, why is that so close? I hit the dash button. Oh, Steve-O taking a lot of curb there. A bit of a snap, nearly recreated his race 2 incident. But now down the hill, MJ in his sights. Not close enough for a dive bomb this lap, unless he was truly crazy. But MJ making a couple of mistakes, a couple of wrong line choices through that chicane, and Steve-O gets ever closer, ever inches towards MJ in the Aston Martin. Meanwhile, that battle for the lead is separated by only 0.3 of a second. Matty's still not inside that dive bomb range just yet. Steve-O just under pressure a little bit from Speed Racer as well, filling up the rear view mirror, but he needs to get a shuffle on and get past MJ if he wants any hope to try and get into contention for the race win with Matty and Biggie. As these two squabble away. Maddie just trying to show the nose, trying to force Hugs into a mistake, but he's just not budging. He's keeping that car going in a straight line, and he's just trying to defend for a race victory. But Maddie very close this time round. I thought she was going to go up the inside, but she didn't make a late braking maneuver. She knows she has time to work with. She has 12 and a half more minutes to go in this race to try and get the race win, so she has no rush to just dive down the inside of the McLaren like that, as Steve-O is quite close behind. Actually, he got past MJ the second I stopped looking, so that's always fun as a commentator. Take the cameras off for a moment and I'll get past. But now he has 6/10 to Eda Nick in front of him, and then he has a mighty challenge to get past Hoggy, close that second, get past Hoggy, and then close 2.5 seconds, no, 3.7 seconds to Maddie and Hugs. But with the way he's driving at the moment, it's all possible here in race 3 that he might be able to do it. Hugs still holding on to the fastest lap of this race, but if Maddie had clean air, she'd definitely be smashing that out of the park and pulling away from Hugs, but Hugs holding his own at the moment in the McLaren 720S. As Maddie just really needs to just go for it, I think. And just different lines, it's so fascinating between these two. But Maddie, just, as I said, I think she just needs to go for it. Earlier on it was like, oh, she has 12 minutes. She still has 11 minutes in this race. But Steve-O's making his way through this field pretty quickly. Actually, I take that back. He has two seconds to Steve-O. I mean, two seconds to Nick. But he's still moving quite quickly. The question is it close up to the lead in 10.5 minutes quickly? Probably not in that Ferrari, but he's definitely going to give it a go. But also, Maddie would just like to have the lead, I think, just command this race. She was doing that so well in race 2, and then she threw it all away. I think she would just want to prove to herself that she can lead the race and pull away from cars behind while doing it. So we'll do a pure onboard lap here with Maddie, I think. It's about that time of the night. Normally I do one per race, but the racing's been pretty close. We go onboard lap with the telemetry up now for Maddie for a full lap from this part of the track. Enjoy the car sounds. That is an onboard lap with Maddie of Zolder as she's chasing down and hounding the back of Biggie, but still she's not able to make any sort of overtakes, get any sort of move done. She's so close behind, as Tash saying, and McLaren getting the jump off the line has thrown a spanner in the works for this one. Yeah, I definitely agree that Biggie just definitely seems to get great exits off of all the corners. I think the way Maddie needs to get past is she's always super close heading down the hill after the chicane. She needs to take advantage. As much as it's risky, I think her best opportunity is just going to be to lunge it down the inside of the slow right-left chicane after the big chicane when they head up and down the hill. That's her closest place on the track. That's where she could get this race lead if she really committed to it. But still, she'll continue to put pressure on and just hope for Biggie to make a mistake, give Maddie a crack at an overtake. She'll just try and find a window here in race 3 as she heads up the hill and then back down. This is where she gets so close to the McLaren. She's not as close this lap as she is on other runs, so I seem like a crazy person recommending she lunges it. But normally, this part of the track, she's basically pushing Biggie through the corner, and that'd be her opportunity to distract her down the inside of Hugs in the next couple of laps. There's only 6.5 minutes to go here in Zolder. Oh, Maddie's made a mistake. Oh, no. Oh, she takes a trip onto the grass. She's nearly done that a few times now. She's nearly rear-ended Biggie quite a few times in this race. And then once again, when she's trying to put pressure on, when she's hunting a race win, she makes a mistake. And that is a costly one at that. Not as costly as the race number 2 incident, but now she finds herself 2 seconds behind Biggie, more than 2.4 seconds behind Biggie, and that'll definitely have hurt her tyres as well. She hit the grass on the entry and just wasn't able to get it going again in a straight line as quickly as she'd probably like. And now with 5 minutes 50 to go, she's not just going to have to get an overtake, she's going to have to try and close 2.5 seconds to a car that this race is really not that slow, has the fastest lap, and then she has to overtake it as well on top, which she was already having trouble doing. So she has her work cut out for her here in race 3, but 5.5 minutes, anything is possible here. But still, with anything being possible, I think she's already closing in a lot, but overtaking will definitely be another thing. We've already seen her struggle with the overtaking aspect here at Zolder, and now she has to close, and she'll be on a ticking clock to overtake as well. Her tyres will also definitely be feeling that incident as well, but not too bad, it looks like, in the grand scheme of things. We'll see what the delta is across the line. I think it's probably stayed about the same, so I'm not sure if she'll catch or not. She did catch through the middle sector this lap, but then she lost it all again in the traction zones of the third sector. So towards the line now, the gap was 2.3 in the middle sector split. It's 2.5 across the line, so she gained no time on that lap. She's going to be very, very hard task to close up as Biggie just seizes opportunity, and I think that at least at the moment, with 4 minutes 20 just under to go here in race number 3, that he looks likely to take the victory once again for the second time this season in Fargone, which would be absolutely fantastic for him. All he has to do is keep the car in a straight line. But Maddie will not be happy with that. She's made 2 mistakes at critical points. Which has costed her chances at race victories both times. At least she wasn't leading this time. At least she was attacking, but she was just trying to take a lot wider of a line than Biggie at the hairpin. And she nearly rear-ended him a few times, but this time, trying to get out of the way, she just hit the grass, and that was all over Red Rover, which is not what you want in a race car, I'll tell you what. It definitely throws you around just a little bit. There's 3 minutes to go, about 3 laps to go here in Zolder. most of the gaps have gone fairly stagnant. There's not too many close battles. Speed Racer is about a second out from MJ, and everyone else isn't really battling. I think Lee Perkins is in a bit of a battle with Force. Towards turn 1 they go, but other than that, not too much in the grand scheme of things going on. Force just trying to close into the sensational BMW, but no crumpet here. So far, he's just getting close, but not quite able to overtake with a minute 50 to go. And maybe just losing his head a little bit because he knows the time will be running out. But that's all in the cockpit as well. You don't know. You can make predictions. It's actually Hoggy and Eda Nick have closed up significantly in the past lap or so. So the battle for P3 is on like Donkey Kong at the moment. As this is the penultimate lap of the race. Hugs will have the time to finish this lap and one more. But here on the penultimate lap of the race, game is on here for P3. And Hoggy, we know that he's battled with Eda Nick several times tonight in race 1. Was definitely a highlight, and that was also for P3 as far as the memory serves, or P4, but he wasn't able to get it done. But this time he's a lot closer, and he darts to the inside. Oh no, that is a poor bit of racecraft there from Hoggy. He had to completely go off and cut the chicane, turning in early, and then that forced Eda Nick then on rejoin to go off and cut the chicane, and that's going to separate them out just a little bit once again. But that is what happens between two people who have been racing all night. At some point you're going to get impatient and try to go up the inside. Just didn't work that time, but they're still close together with one lap to go. But we will go back up to Biggie as he's about to begin the final lap of racing action tonight in the lead. So Biggie here tonight shocked me in qualifying, shocked everyone in qualifying 1 tonight when he qualified in P number 2 alongside Stephen Reese. Normally he's a good midfield sitter in reverse grid rounds, he's always a threat, and he'd won in Misano in the full wet conditions, taking advantage of a reverse grid race that went wrong for Steve-O and Maddie. And now here in Zolder, he's had the outright pace to stay with the likes of Maddie and Steve-O and Nathan Monks. And now, here in race 3, as long as he keeps the car going in a straight line, he made advantage of a great race start and was defending from a hounding car number 4 Ford Mustang of Maddie, who we all know is one of the fastest drivers around and easily the second fastest driver in Fargone and the fastest driver in Fargone on her day as well. And Hugs was able to hold her off, until she crucially made a mistake at this very hairpin. And now he's going to be basking in the glory. He's punched well above his usual weight tonight, as Tash said in the chat. And now he's going to round the final chicane, and this time it's not a reverse grid that's given him the win. He's done it on pure merit and pure pace. Hugs is going to round the final corner now and win race 3 in Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 19. And what a drive it was from him to hold on. Take a bow, Biggie. Maddie gets P2, and I'm sure will be aggravated that she made a mistake when she did, but still a P2 nonetheless. Eda Nick gets P3. Hoggy not quite able to get the place. Steve-O gets P5 despite all of the issues he had in qualifying. He made up 4 places. MJ gets 6. Speed Racer gets 7th. Demon Boost gets 8th. Nathan Monks gets a top 10 Lee Perkins in the sensational BMW and a bit of damage gets everybody's leaving the server, I think. No, yeah, he gets P10. Force gets 11th. Tobasai gets 12th. Swooper gets 13th. Ross gets 14th. Lee gets 15th. And Ninja gets 16th. I'll go back through that order again once everybody's set and crossed the line, and that'll happen in a moment's time. Across the line now. One more card across the line. It's Lee, who is going to get P14. He's just got 2 more corners to go. Then we'll get the official final order in of tonight's racing. As he misses the corner in the Aston Martin, clearly just not really knowing where he's going here in Zolder. But as he's going to round the final corner, and now he's going to cross the line. So your final order is Hugs, P1, and a fastest lap to boot as well. Very good drive from him. Maddie gets P2, probably disappointingly for her. Then you have Eda, Nick, Hoggy, Reese, MJ, Racer, Boost, Monks, Perkins, Force, Tobasai, Swooper, Ross, Lee, and Ninja. What a cracking drive from everybody who was on the grid tonight. Congratulations to the 3... Was it 3? Yeah, the 3 race winners tonight of... Oh, let me clock my brain here. Steve Reese, yeah, Nathan Monks, and Hugs, getting 3 different race winners in 3 races. That's what this format is all about. It really mixed up the order, and mistakes were made here tonight, and mistakes will be learnt from in Fargone tonight. But cracking stuff from everybody tonight. I've been Lindsay Model in the comms box. Thank you for watching, everybody, and good night.